Welcome to My Mythical Meta, your gaming podcast that's actually a Dune podcast. We are throwing everything out, and we are now a Dune podcast. My name is Baron Travis Harkonnen, and I'm joined this week by my brother, Ben Idaho.
Dreams make good stories, but everything important happens when we're awake.
The Reverend Mother, Randy.
Hello.
And the Kwisatz Haderach, Derek.
The spice must flow!
Everyone is here. Welcome. How was y'all's week?
Going okay.
Pretty good. It's almost spring break.
Ooh, you do have spring break next week, don't you?
I do.
That's exciting. Got any plans?
Yeah, I'm taking debaters to state, so I got half a spring break.
Well, that sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Derek, you're going camping this weekend, right?
Yep, I'm leaving tomorrow, like noon.
I know. We were going to play Magic tomorrow and have some league games.
And I said I was sorry and I begged forgiveness. It should have been enough.
I do not remember the begging for forgiveness at all. Do you guys remember any begging for forgiveness?
No, not at all.
That must be a prescient moment that I'm seeing the future.
Maybe you went into the astral plane and tried to beg forgiveness that way, but texting is much faster.
Helps a little too much spice, if you know what I mean.
Randy, how about you?
No, I mean, nothing really going on this week. Nothing going on this weekend. Just gonna have a chill weekend with the girlfriend.
Yeah, that sounds good. I had a really fun time watching the My Hero Academia movies with you guys last weekend. Mm-hmm. Kristen went out of town for a bachelorette party to Montana, and I had the baby for about 5 days. And so Kristen is being really cool and saying, you can go out Friday night if you want. And she's going to take Marin with her to visit some friends on Saturday. And I can have a Saturday to myself also. So I'll probably watch some movies. Maybe I'll finally play some more Baldur's Gate. Or just play Cyberpunk some more. Who knows?
All good options.
Yeah, play Cyberpunk again for the 9th time. I think Benjamin and I are going to go see Dune 2 tomorrow.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. So it has been a great week, and I think we've got a really interesting topic for you guys today. Paul Atreides, hero or villain?
Yeah, let's dig in. A lot of people are saying he's the hero of the story. Is it true? Or is he some sort of terrorist?
I mean, yeah, I think he's the hero. No, I think he's the hero.
Sure, he's the main character.
He starts as a hero. I think that any hero that lives long enough becomes a villain.
Can you tell which of us hasn't seen anything Dune related?
I side with the native citizens of Arrakis.
The Fremen?
Yes, the Fremen.
Okay.
I side with the Fremen. If Paul is going to help the Fremen thrive, then I think he's the hero.
Spoilers.
He said if?
Well,
the hero going on a journey?
I'm messing.
Yeah. Yeah, if he's going to help the Fremen thrive, I think that makes him the hero. Who is saying he's the villain?
Me.
I saw a meme that was like,
Really?
it was the Fremen saying something like, yeah, you saved us. And it was like Paul or somebody's like, I would say more like under new management.
Benjamin, you say he's a villain?
Yeah.
I don't think he's a good guy.
Why?
I mean, he kind of gets a little power hungry there at the end where he's like, surprise, I'm here, and I'm taking over your tribe, and I'm taking over your worms, and now I'm taking over the galaxy.
Okay, but when you're also Space Jesus...
Is he Space Jesus?
He's missing some important parts about being Jesus, like, not being perfect, which means that he's power hungry.
He's kind of being Anakin Skywalker a little bit.
There you go.
They need someone to tell them what's right and what's wrong.
Now,
is that kind of what you mean?
Sure. Yeah, well, I mean... How long's it been since you read the book?
I think I finished it last fall, I think is when I finished it.
Okay, so
it's been 4 or 5 months, maybe.
So, like, at the end, and we're gonna have to cut all this or something on the spoiler, but, like, he goes, and of course, he's getting the revenge, and that feels good for all of us or whatever, but he just, like, takes a wife and kicks Zendaya to the side, and I don't know. Because
he's honoring the traditions of the Fremen. What do you want him to do?
No. At the very, very end, when he marries the Empress or whatever.
I have no memory of this.
He blacked out.
Is it because I didn't read like the index of all the extra like flora and fauna entries?
Maybe I made it up, but I don't think so.
I mean, he's right.
Yeah.
And I'll say that he's not heroic enough to follow the golden path.
What's the golden path?
That's a spoiler, my friend.
Apparently it's been too long. I think Paul's the hero. They made me love him in the beginning, and so now he can do no wrong. And if he is the smartest person in the universe, then
by
okay,
right.
Sign me up, Space Jesus.
But that's not. We don't know that at the end of Dune 1 that he's the smartest person in the galaxy. We only know that he's pretty smart and has some cool powers. He's a good fighter and pretty smart. But like, there's a whole galaxy out there. And yeah, I just double checked. He does marry Princess Irulan.
He does.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Because I remember that she's the one writing a bunch of entries at the beginning of each chapter.
Right.
So yeah, I remember now.
So, yeah.
Okay, fun.
Well, now that we've lost all of our listeners,
we just gained
Now
a
that
whole
everyone-
collection of like we're on the blood vein. We're at the cultural zeitgeist of Dune
Yeah,
media.
that's true. Well, now that we've appeased the algorithm and can start showing up if anybody types Dune in their search bar, it's time to do a shout out to our number one patron, David.
David, woo!
David, our own Kwisatz Haderach, our own Muad'Dib, our own Lisan Al-Gaib. David.
you're just making these words up now.
He's not.
I'm not.
I
Those are
know
all
I
from
know
the
I
voice.
know he's not. I know he's not. But they all just sound ridiculous.
Yeah. Our own David. David, thanks for chilling with us. Thanks for sticking with us. You too can become a patron by going to patreon.com/mymythicalmeta. By becoming a patron, you will discover a 20% off code for eldoradogaming.com. You'll receive early and ad-free content through the Patreon, and you'll get access to the My Mythical Meta Discord server, where the three of us hang out. We look forward to talking role-playing games, card games, Dungeons & Dragons, video games. We look forward to hanging out with patrons in our Discord server. Kwisatz Haderach, Derek?
Yes.
What is our surprise perk this week?
I'm glad you asked. Today, the members of this podcast are going to take a real sacrifice. If you sign up for the Patreon and buy us all 4 tickets, we will join you for a screening one time of Madam Web.
I did hear the reviews were pretty god-awful for Madam.
I would rather be bludgeoned with a shovel, but I would do it for a patron.
Yeah, I heard those were pretty bad. But listen, I'll give any Spider-Man one shot. Is Madam Web a Spider-Man?
As much as the Venom movies are.
Less than.
Yeah.
She is a Spider-Man
okay,
character.
okay.
She is not a Spider-Man.
Right.
Oh,
In
is
the-
she a
they're in the same-
Spider-Man villain?
No, she's like
No?
Prophet?
she's like an oracle type thing that like runs the Spider-Verse. Well, she could like see into the future and like universes and stuff like that.
Interesting.
But like for
She's
Spider-Man,
Jesus.
well,
Is Madam Web a Marvel Cinematic Universe entry?
Yes.
No.
What?
I think so.
Yes.
Or is it just a
Oh,
Sony thing?
I know.
I mean, it's a
I'm
Sony
sorry.
thing, but it's
But it is an official Marvel Cinematic Universe entry?
yeah. I think they're signed off on it. I think it's as much of a Marvel Cinematic Universe thing as Venom and Morbius and all that other stuff is.
Yeah, sorry. I thought you meant like an original character that Sony them cooked up, and then instead of getting like an actual character.
No, Madam Web is a real character. She's been around
no,
for a lifetime.
I know. I'm saying I thought he was asking if Sony made her up,
Oh,
and I was saying no, because I remember her back in the '90s Spider-Man TV show where Stan Lee's wife
Yeah.
voiced her.
That's cool.
She was an old woman in that version.
And in this one, she's hip, young, and hot?
yeah.
She's the girl from 50 Shades of Grey.
No, he's right. Hip, young, and hot.
Interesting. Okay.
Hurt hip.
All right. Okay, and now it's time to welcome this week's special guest for our Dune podcast, Zendaya.
This is real. This is totally real. This is happening.
This
Zendaya,
is
get
real.
in here,
It's
girl.
actually happening. She's literally
What's this?
here.
A cease and
with
desist
Derek.
letter? Why are you get? You could have mailed this. Why did you come all
Why
the way
would
here to do this? To humiliate
She's
me?
delivering the cease and desist in person.
She just walked in here, gave me this letter that says cease and desist, and then walked out. She's been sitting in my living room for 30 minutes.
waiting to be introduced and then to give you the cease and desist.
Hey, at least she showed up in the red carpet outfit she wore, made her look like a weird C-3PO.
This has got my blood flowing.
Derek, how could you have built us up so much?
Betrayed us.
She said she would do it. Warner Brothers, it was a whole process, guys. For 3 weeks, I have been working with Warner Brothers and all the cast and crew, And I mean, I had to sign all kinds of letters and NDAs and all that stuff. And she came over. Okay, I can't talk about it anymore. I'll get mad.
He went all the way to
Plus,
Arrakis.
you don't want to violate the cease and desist.
Yeah, it's a narrow little line I got to walk.
Would you say that you are feeling tilted?
Yeah, I'm feeling a little salty if I'm being honest.
Oh my goodness, Derek, your emotions are the subject of today's podcast. We are going to talk about tilt. Let's start off by defining tilt. Benjamin, define tilt. What does it mean to be tilt?
Tilt is generally a negative emotion that clouds your judgment. So most of the time anger, but sometimes frustration or sadness, guilt, something like that. But it's usually intense in the moment, and it makes you make poor decisions.
To me, tilt, it's definitely usually anger. Clouding judgment is an essential part of tilt, I think.
Yes.
And that's what you'll hear pros describe it as too. And some pros will try to get their opponents tilted on purpose because they want them to cloud their judgment and make poor decisions. For me, tilt can just last from the time it starts. It can last for days sometimes.
Yeah.
What is it like for you guys?
Man, for me, tilt it kind of feels like a snowball because oftentimes tilt comes from a bad decision that you already made. And then you start making more and more bad decisions. You start saying things you don't mean. You start, it just basically drains the fun and the strategy. It drains basically everything that typically makes a gaming experience fun. It just kind of drains it out of there. And you just feel like you can't stop it. It's rolling downhill and, about to cause an avalanche or something, a big wreck at the end.
Yeah, it's like a spiral.
Yeah, absolutely.
That just keeps self-feeding,
Mm-hmm.
like this feedback loop. Derek, Randy, what about y'all?
I mean, I agree with Benjamin. It's just like that anger that feels like it takes over, and you kind of stop being yourself, and you start being like irrational. You're angry, like you said. You're saying things that you don't mean. You're acting in ways that you don't mean to. It's like you don't have control of yourself because you're so upset.
Randy, anything you want to add here?
I feel like when I go into, I guess like I kind of stop caring. Like I just like kind of like I cut myself off, if that makes sense. Like I recede back into my own little world, and whatever tilted me probably caused me to play very suboptimally because I am probably just taking anger out on whoever caused the tilt. So it's like, no, you tilted me. I'm done. I'm just gonna do whatever I can to screw you over now for the rest of this game.
So tilt is like it causes you to go nuclear?
Spiteful.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, like if I'm at a point where I'm tilted, it's probably just, I'm not going to win. Nothing's gone right. I felt like, like someone or something has just, not bullied, but kind of, I know it's not personal. I know all of that, but it's just, I've hit that threshold. That was the last straw. And I don't care what the real threat is anymore. I don't care. I'm going to try to do either what I want to do. I'm not going to care about the rest of the board. I mean, for that point, it's over for me. Like, there's no way I'm going to win usually when I'm tilted like that.
Right.
But I'll try to make someone else lose. Or I'll try to help someone else win against the person I'm tilted against.
I don't think that's just you at all. That
No.
being tilted causes you to slip into things like going nuclear or king making. It has us start making decisions that are a lot more personal and less about what we've traditionally talked about the game as, playing on hard mode and winning with honor and things like that. Is it slips us into a lot more vindictive behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are some things that get you guys tilted? Obviously, there are some magic behaviors that we can talk about, but try to talk about, like, in any game or in any situation. What are some things that really just get under your skin and just embed themselves there and can ruin the entire game for you?
Well, the idea of tilt, for me, I first learned about it way back in high school, back when we were all really into poker. Being tilted was a big poker thing. And the biggest thing that could tilt you would be bad beats, where you're winning a hand and maybe you make a big bet or something, and then the last card comes up and the other person wins. Man, that feeling of bad luck when something has just, you strategized right, you pushed at the right time, and just you were going to lose that hand, right? You were destined to lose. The luck was against you, but it just felt like, you did
everything right and it didn't matter.
Right, and it ended up costing you, because it wasn't just that you were destined to lose. Most hands you're going to lose, and you just fold them and move on with your life. But these are ones where it feels like you should win. Like you've set it up, maybe you were strung along, or you had hope that was dashed in the moment, and it ended up costing you. It cost you more than a normal bad hand, because it's a good hand that didn't work out. Maybe it ended up hurting you more. And so I think those are the things that really get somebody on tilt, or especially those are the things that could cause me to go on tilt, because then you feel like, in poker at least, when you're on tilt, oftentimes you feel like, I got to make the money back. You start playing a little...
You got to break even?
Yeah, you start playing a little recklessly, because first of all, you make some logical fallacies like, well, if the luck was against me that time, it must be for me this other time. I should start playing bad hands too. Or, hey, I have another big hand. Usually if you're playing poker right, you might get 1 or 2 big hands an hour, but you're like, man, that was a big hand that didn't go my way, so I need another one. You start looking for it. You start trying to make it, and that's a quick way to lose all your money real fast. But it's not just poker, right? I feel this sort of luck-based tilt in games like Risk, where I'll take my massive army, 30 troops against somebody's, 7 troops somewhere, and my plan is to take a continent or fortify my borders or something, and I lose 20 or maybe don't even win, in that battle, and I'm forced to go home with my tail between my legs and not get my Risk card when I had such overwhelming odds. Those are the sort of things that just really tilt me, man.
Yeah.
You can sense Benjamin getting mad through the mic right now.
Yes, when you put all your, playing Settlers of Catan, and you put all your things on your 6s and your 8s and your 9s and your 5s, and the person who stacked up on the 12s are getting 3 times as many resources as you are. No, thank you.
Benjamin's like, why aren't the rest of you as mad as I am?
He's the meme. Why are you booing me? I'm right.
Yeah.
Right. No, so anyways, bad luck, that's inherent in a game that's based on luck. I mentioned Risk and poker. Those are skill-based games. Or, Settlers of Catan too. These are the ones where if you are a better player, you will win most of the time. But They have that element of luck for a reason, and the better player doesn't always win. And that's good for the game generally. Same thing with Magic, right? That's good that there's a chance for the worst player to win. That keeps them playing. It encourages different strategies and things like that. But man, it doesn't feel good. And it can lead to those...
To know that you made the right moves and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Just because of RNG.
And it causes that sort of behaviors, those behaviors that, we'll get to talking about, but the recklessness and the poor threat evaluation and all that stuff, bad RNG can lead to poor decision making later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll talk about one that probably makes me feel tilt more than anything, and it's feeling stupid whenever I myself have made some type of error that I should have seen.
Yeah.
I mess up a line of play, or I plan out all of my attackers in such a way to knock out 2 people at once, but then I messed up on my combat math and it didn't work out correct. Or forgetting that somebody else has an effect on their board. Like forgetting that a creature has flying and me swinging in with a big flyer. And somebody just go, okay, I'm going to put my 1/1 spirit in front of it. Like that makes me feel so stupid. And then from there, I'll just start kicking myself, saying, I was so dumb. I messed up that line of play. I can't believe I missed it. And I'll just start spiraling in on myself, saying, what else am I missing? What other stupid moves am I making? And it prevents me from tightening up my gameplay and fixing the error. It prevents me from being a better player in the next round or on the next turn. I can talk about a specific event that happened 2 times ago that we played. And the tilt definitely affected the next couple days. Like the group chat was quiet for a day or 2, and it took us, I made an apology over the way I was acting and some things like that. So I messed up on a line of play. I was playing Agnes the Dragon's Lash. Benjamin was playing Vishgraz the Doomhive, which is a deck that I had made as a birthday deck for Randy, but Benjamin didn't have any of his decks. And Derek was playing his new Aragorn King of Gondor deck. And I had set up my attackers in such a way that my intention was to knock out Benjamin and leave Derek alive. But I messed up on that math to where neither player died. So what I did was I used a takesy-backsy using a league point. I used a takesy-backsy, so I'm down a point now, to fix that combat math and knock Benjamin out completely. Well, whenever I made that choice, I had used my takesy backsy, Derek then reacted in a different way and saved Benjamin's life. And that just completely knocked me on tilt because, I was asking, why are you saving him? Why are you making that choice? And I was putting it all on Derek, even though he is another player in the game and he has his reasons for doing his actions. But from my perspective, I wasn't seeing it and I didn't care. I was really upset that someone had prevented me from getting that win. What would have been a win. Derek's board at the time wasn't a huge threat.
It was like 2 creatures.
Yeah, Derek had 2 creatures. And Derek said over the course of that evening, and Derek, you can correct me if I'm wrong or putting any words in your mouth. You were like, I need Benjamin to kill you.
Uh-huh.
Was that about right?
Yeah.
Benjamin surviving has to happen in order to stand any chance at taking me out of the game. And so Derek had his plan. He earned a point for my hero with it by saving another player from death. But I felt so stupid for messing up my combat math and then using a league point to fix it and then having that move nullified anyway. Like all of that just completely sent me on a spiral that lasted about a day or two. And I had to come back and the rest of that evening. It was pretty close to the end of the night anyway. I think that was our last game of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it leads to awkward goodbyes. It leads to a really strained way of everybody packing up in silence because I was overreacting. So we've recovered since then. I know Derek's reasons for it. They make sense. And again, it was all my own error. It was all me. And that error sent me into a tailspin at the end of that game.
I had also, when you made that first attack and we found out it wasn't enough to kill Benjamin, and Benjamin was like, wiping his brow like, whew. And I said, don't worry, you were safe the whole time. I was, I was telling him I had Path to Exile to remove, enough to keep him alive.
Right.
Specifically because I needed him to kill you. And I guess you didn't hear it. I wasn't like whispering or anything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And then you did the take back.
And you had said that. I said that, but I did not hear that. Maybe I was thinking of something else. Or...
You did the take back, and then you did it again without, adjusting to that thing. I was like, is he calling my bluff? Like, what is happening? So I felt like I had to do it.
Yeah. I mean... Again, I don't blame you, and we all have our reasons for the moves we make, but me messing up, using a takesy-backsy, I mean, it felt like a point was robbed. And it wasn't. Everybody did whatever they needed to in order to make the best moves they thought for the game. But me messing up, really, it made everyone else's actions to undo it feel personal. Like it was against me personally, rather than everybody having their own reasons for doing the moves that they did.
Right.
I very much feel the exact same way. Like, that is the reason I get tilted or salty or anything like that, is because I feel stupid. Like, I've messed up. And I put in quotes here, I'm not better. If I'm up against the odds and, someone's got, like, a silver bullet or whatever to kill my...
To kill your strategy.
Yeah, to kill my strategy or shut my deck down or my character down or whatever. And I still win, I'm not getting tilted from that situation. Because I feel like, hey, I'm the best player in the game, greatest player of all time, type stuff. I'm going on a victory parade. But when I don't win those, it's a very toxic mindset because when I don't win those situations, I'm like, I'm bad, I'm trash, I should be better, and I wasn't good enough to pull this win out. When it could have been impossible odds. Maybe the RNG was against me the whole time. And it's like, if my deck that I had built beforehand was better, I could have done it, or something like that. It's just a toxic, it's like I'm self-destructing on myself, and then my anger at myself is bubbling up so much that it's just kind of spewing onto the table, and it's just makes an uncomfortable time. Like I had to stop playing competitive games like League of Legends and all these other games.
I was just thinking of League.
I was waiting for one of y'all to bring up League.
Because I was a monster. It's just okay, I can tell the story, you can't.
Hey, I was there.
Yeah, it's just a monster who, I don't know what the moment was, but I'm like, hey, I hate the person I am when I play these games. And I have been trying to get better, trying to take winning less seriously and trying to have more fun with things. I don't know, it's kind of a learning thing, but man, feeling stupid is, when I mess something up, it's like, I wasn't good enough to win.
Yeah.
So
yeah, whenever we played League back in the day, and you would have your
Travis, cut this
rage moments. No. I want to say, now I know that you were feeling that way, but at the time, it always felt like you were mad at everyone else. It was, I'm carrying the team and everyone else is messing up. I can't do this by myself. That's what it felt like, and that's why it's like, yeah, we can't play this together anymore.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
And also,
I still play every now and then.
you don't want to be the person who can't play a game. Like, you just had that reputation. Like, even now, I haven't played League of Legends in over 10 years, I think. And I'm that guy who still would self-destruct in League games. Like, that reputation
And it's like,
doesn't leave
I
you
do
alone.
think we played in the last 3 or 4 years, because I want to say we played over COVID a little bit.
Oh, I think you're right, yeah.
A little bit of
But
ARAM.
it's always only ARAM.
Yeah.
Which for any uninitiated League player, all random, all mid. So there's only one lane, and it's meant to be chaotic team fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, much more casual.
There's certainly strategy, but if you get a character you own but aren't good at, that's just how the game goes.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, it can certainly put you in a tailspin there. I added onto the list having bad teammates. Does that warrant being tilted, or does it just cause tilt anyway? I mean, I guess all of these scenarios means they cause tilt, but we know that tilt is not a good emotion to have. It's not a good mindset to be in.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Do you think any tilt is justified?
If someone's cheating.
Okay,
Like,
yeah,
if you knew someone was cheating and was getting away with it because it's like, well, the judge didn't see it or whatever, it's like, what's the point of this game? He's, it's unfair to begin with, so
Yeah,
we're
that's
not
true.
playing on
I wasn't
the same.
thinking of that.
Yeah, so if you catch someone cheating and they don't get busted for it,
Yeah.
that is justified tilt.
Similar to that is like in sports where you see like the referee only calling fouls for one side or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, you do have to be very careful both with the cheating and the referee stuff. Very often, both sides are doing it, but you have a biased point of view, and you don't notice that, hey, your side is also getting benefit of certain calls, or it's also kind of being lax and maybe technically cheating or whatever. And so it can be really hard to tell the difference. You have to take an honest assessment of, did I look at this fairly? But then if you are for sure that you are playing by the book, doing everything right, and the other side is not, and they're getting away with it, I think that feels justified.
Y'all reminded me, I'm going to bring in my other fandom on The Bachelor. Whenever there are big group dates, and they'll do these like obstacle courses or races, and the person who wins extra time with the Bachelor at the end. Or they win a kiss, or they win a little one-on-one date or something. Those rules of those obstacle courses do not matter. Like, and it's so funny when someone will break the rules, be awarded the winner prize anyway, and to see all of the other contestants just getting angry and stewed, and they're getting this tilt because it wasn't fair. But if you've been watching the show for, I've been watching it since about 2017, so about 7-ish years, you should know that those rules don't matter, and that it's all about whoever crosses that finish line first. And that another thing you could do is called an injury, fear, or illness. It's called an IFI. And you can say, oh, I can't participate in this challenge. And usually it's like the touch football challenge. It's like, oh, I had surgery 6 weeks ago, and I'm not supposed to exert on my knee or whatever. And then you spend the date sitting on the bench talking to the Bachelor instead of playing the game. Like, that's another move
Tricky.
that causes the other people who are playing by the rules, who are playing the game, causes them to feel that tilt. Ooh, that felt so good to chime in right there. That felt awesome.
Your story reminded me of, there was an episode of Ink Master.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Where the challenge was, like, they can only do one pass when they're doing the tattoo. So, if it's a line, it's like, you can't go back over your work. You gotta
Oh my
get
god,
it in there.
what?
Yeah, one pass. So, of course, everyone's doing pretty simple tattoos because it's like, I gotta get it real. I have to make sure it looks good, and I only get really one chance. And so, also for things like shading and stuff like that, it's like, if you're gonna do that crosshatch, you gotta do, everyone was doing it one at a time. Well, this was a season where you had like a mentor and mentee kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And so the mentor for this one guy was like, oh man, I got an idea. And he, instead of just using a single needle, I think they called mag, a single needle mag, he used like several different ones from like a 5 to like a 10. And so whenever he's doing cross hatching and stuff like that, he does one pass and he has 10 lines getting drawn that are all perfectly spaced.
Oh, yeah.
To do shading, and so his stuff. So he had a much more detailed tattoo and much better, like, spacing was always perfect because...
And the judges loved it?
Yeah, the judges loved it. And everyone was on tilt. The entire cast was, he's cheating, that's against the rules. And the judges were like, no, there wasn't. We never said you had to do a single needle, tattoo. we said one pass. Like, you can't go back over it. I mean, it's a tool you have. It wasn't like he came in with a tool that he made and no one else has access to. It's right there in your kit. That was, I think, a really good use of, like, I'm within the rules. Y'all are just on tilt because you didn't think of it.
My wife and I are also watching Ink Master. Well, we're watching reverse order, so we're watching the latest seasons and then going younger. And we'll have our favorite artist or whatever, and there'll be a challenge that says, okay, tattoo in American traditional or something like that, and everyone will do it, and someone won't do it, but for some reason they're getting a pass. It's like, well, it's like someone who did the challenge of doing American traditional tattoo is getting sent home over someone who didn't make an American traditional tattoo but had
because it was a good tattoo in their own
style.
It
was a good tattoo. I was like, why is that person not getting sent home when they didn't even do the challenge? That makes me tilted a little bit on behalf of those people. I think
I remember a season like that where this guy just like used his words to turn every style into black and white realism. And so all of his tattoos are really good. And it was, and you could see the other players being like, he hasn't shown any other skill except, black and gray realism. Yeah. So, some other reasons for tilt. Being hard countered. Having whatever your strategy is undone by a silver bullet. And this happens in lots of games. Obviously, if I'm playing Warhammer and I go in with a melee build first, that's kind of dumb to make an army that is only good at one thing, but then to have the other people just blast at range, like that feels bad. It feels like a hard counter. But in Magic, there are lots of examples of this. We talked last episode, it wouldn't be last episode, it'd be 2 weeks ago, about our Boogeymen decks. And lots of them, I realized through editing, were graveyard decks. A ton of them were graveyard decks.
I keep telling y'all.
Yeah, because it feels inevitable because these decks are made to have these things come back out from the graveyard. Well, play a Rest in Peace, or run a Bajuka Bog, or a Scavenger Grounds?
I think so. Yeah, the desert one.
These things that just completely exile an opponent's graveyard. Well, then that player is just going to sit there top decking because getting the stuff from their graveyard was their card draw. I'm just going to replay the same card over and over and over again. But once those are removed and they just have only the top card of their deck each turn, like that can really undo someone's graveyard strategy. The last time we played, and I don't hold any animosity towards Derek's Gyruda deck for doing this, but he played Jin Gataxia's Core Augur.
Oh yeah, it was a hell of a flip.
Yeah, it was a really lucky flip off of Gyruda, and there was just nothing that my deck could do about it. I spent the entire rest of the game with no cards in hand, because Jin Gataxias' ability says all your opponent's hand size is reduced by 7, quote unquote. So if you don't have any ability that increases your hand size, it's 0. So I literally could just play the one card off the top of my hand, play it or discard it, and that was all. So being hellbent. And it's the same when you're facing any type of discard deck. There's a lot of Rakdos or Mono Black that does this. I think is it Tiny Bones?
Yeah.
Who wants your opponents to be hellbent also?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's things like that. Being staxed out. Staxed means there's a tax or an additional cost or a sacrifice every single turn. A slowdown to the game. And there are some builds, there are some combinations that just say, you can't untap your mana, and if you can't untap your mana, you can't cast any spells. It's hard to do anything. So being staxed out, being mana screwed, which just means not drawing any lands throughout the game, or not drawing any of your ramp throughout the game. These are all strategies in Magic that can hard counter somebody else, that prevents them from playing. But Magic's not the only game where this happens. Our other go-to game is Smash Brothers, and there are lots of characters that have countering moves. Mario has a cape that sends reflectors back. The Fire Emblem characters have counters. The Star Fox characters have reflectors. So if I choose to play Samus or Young Link or any of the Links really that focus on projectile attacks all the time and then Derek has just gotten so good with Mario's cape that my boomerang, my arrows, like, nothing's getting him because he keeps caping them back. God, that drives me insane.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I actually see it as a game of almost like Russian roulette. Like, am I going to be able to deflect this, or am I about to get hit?
Yeah. So another thing that I think we see a lot in fighting games in particular. So Smash Brothers is ours, but I do watch a couple YouTubers who do Street Fighter, Dragon Ball Fighters.
Mortal Kombat.
Tekken 8 is the new thing that's out right now. And to see someone spamming a move, repeating a move over and over and over and over and over again. So key blasts from across the field, or reuse Fireball, reuse Hadouken.
Those games, like the Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, whatever, where it's just a 2D thing and you get like stuck against the back of the screen and you're just getting juggled and you can't do anything. I just black out in anger. Blood pressure rises so high I lose consciousness.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of experience with 2D fighters, but there was one that I played through middle school and high school, and it was the Soul Calibur series.
Yeah.
It started with Soul Calibur 2 on GameCube. Did any of you guys also play that?
Yeah, I played it with you.
That was the one with Yoda on the GameCube and...
Xbox. I think had Yoda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Xbox, I think it was Soul Calibur 3, 4, or 5 that had Yoda.
PlayStation had Vader.
Uh-huh.
That's right. Soul Calibur 2 on the GameCube had Link as a character.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, like, that was really my only experience with 2D fighters, but I remember that there was a character named Raphael who used a rapier.
Mm-hmm. I remember that guy.
And he could just tap your head. He could just do a double tap on either side of your neck over and over again.
Uh-huh.
Benjamin, was that you?
Yes.
I was going through writing this outline and I was like, I have this vivid memory. And it all came flooding back. I even remembered the character's name.
Yeah, I used
which
to do
is
that
amazing.
to you all the time. There's another one. Who's that guy?
Keelik with the staff.
What?
Keelik with his bow staff.
No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. But yeah, no, it's the guy with the big sword, the gigantic sword.
Siegfried or Nightmare?
Siegfried.
Yeah.
Where he would just spin around with the sword and knock the person down.
Yes.
So I used to do that to you all the time, where I would just spin around, knock you down, and I would wait till your character started the get up process and start the move, so as soon as you were fully up, it would knock you down again.
Oh my god.
And I'd just do that to you over and over.
I have my head in my hands right now. Just over my eyes. Remembering every pixel of that memory. Those are things that can get people on tilt for sure. Because it feels like you don't have a way out. You feel trapped. You feel like there's no move you could make to get out of it. And again, it starts that spiral of making bad choices. You know, the choice I should have made as a victim to Benjamin slapping me down with Siegfried's sword is to back up.
Yeah.
You know, that's the choice I should have made, is to back up and get distance, not to stand straight up or to roll forward. So they're 2D fighters, but they're 3D arena fighters, kind of. And you can sidestep forwards or backwards, or you can sidestep towards the character or away from the character or away from the enemy. So what I should have been doing was moving away from the enemy.
Yeah.
But instead, I was just standing up or sidestepping forwards or backwards on the screen, and that's just going to keep me in range of the same attack over and over and over again. Nothing's going to change. Yeah. Was there anything else that y'all wanted to hit about what gets you tilted, about what drives you insane?
I did have another one, and it's not, I don't know if it's the same kind of tilt. It does lead me to make poor choices, or at least suboptimal choices. And that's worrying about other people, especially if you're playing with strangers or if you're playing with someone else who gets tilted easily. Sometimes just the potential for someone else's tilt can cause you to you start overthinking, what are they going to think of me? How are they going to react? Is this game going to go downhill if I do the right play and maybe put them in a worse position? Yeah, I don't want to be thought of as cheating or being a luck sack or being paid to win because my deck is better or whatever, whatever the case may be. So if I'm playing with strangers, I'll often just sit on a card in hand that would be perfect for the situation, just because I don't know if that person is the type of person who can handle defeat well or handle being countered like you were talking about.
Yeah.
And if it's somebody that I know has a bad attitude, I might do that even more, might even go so far as to not necessarily let them win, but to play really, really suboptimally. And that's a poor decision, right? That's still causing you to play recklessly or
it is clouding your judgment.
Yeah, and it's making the night unfun for somebody, because either you're going to win anyway At which point, you not only do you have to go through them feeling bad and making a big deal, or you lose and you never get that satisfaction of, well, I could have won if I'd done this, because you knew the right plays and still didn't do it. It's like a combination of the bad luck or the feeling stupid, where it's like, I did everything right or could have done everything right, but this thing went wrong. This has happened to me before too, kind of the other people. Sometimes somebody will join a group, a stranger, hey, there's only 3 of you, can I sit down and play? And you're like, yeah, sure. And you play something, and then they have a really bad attitude. I think that happened to us once where we were playing really weak decks. I was playing like a humans deck, and you were playing an angel deck. Like, these were not tuned decks. They had just kind of been thrown together. And somebody came down, and they were like complaining about everything we did. Oh my goodness, so overpowered. All this stuff. Like, they were on tilt.
I was like, I'm sorry. By definition, angel tribal? No, you can't tell me it's overpowered.
Right? Mono white. Like... No.
Sorry, I'm playing mono white. By definition, you can't tell me I'm overpowered. Unless your name is Randy Blair.
Right.
What?
You're allowed...
Like, you are the only person I know who makes overpowered mono white deck.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, I think you're the only person on Earth making overpowered white deck.
Yes.
Just wait until I get pushed to the point of land destruction.
I welcome it.
I'm worried about when he learns about green and black.
Derek, my first deck was green and black.
Well, but you hadn't learned
how
about
to
it
play
yet.
good green and black good.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I have green and black decks lined up.
Uh-oh.
Huh?
Okay, let's get back on topic.
Okay.
Anyway,
so
we were playing bad decks, and people kept reacting badly anyway.
Yeah, I think it was just one guy in particular, but that did we still talk about it. We still, it kind of made that game unfun. When I go to that specific LGS, I still think about, like, what kind of person am I about to play with? So I call that kind of tilt by proxy, where if someone else is getting mad or making things unfun, it makes me mad. It makes me, maybe I might become spiteful towards that type of person, or I might say, well, fine, I'm going to pub stomp next game, because,
if you think this is a bad deck,
I'm about to ruin this man's
you think
whole
this
career.
is a good deck? Let me show you an actual good deck.
Right, but see, that's not neither nice nor fair. The reason we have bad decks in the first place is so that we can play fun games on an equal playing field with someone else, right? If that doesn't solve the problem, if they're going to complain, then why bother, right? So I think other people's attitudes and being unsure of how they're going to react in different situations can put me on tilt.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which again goes back to playing with strangers is so hard. You're going to be so much better off playing with people who you actually care about.
Yeah.
Playing with friends. Again, I want people listening to this podcast to make every effort to actually be friends with the people you're playing with. If you are playing a stranger, you should make moves to be their friend. You should try to get to know them and try to set up a time where you can play with them again next week so that you can create a rapport, create a relationship that's not just a one-time, one-and-done meeting. Anyway, so this tilt, this anger or this frustration that clouds our judgment, what does it cause people to do? What do those lapses in judgment look like in action? Or how can you diagnose tilt in yourself or in somebody else? What does it look like?
I think that probably the biggest one is you can start treating people like they have secret motives or meanings behind their actions that they actually don't have. So kind of to borrow your story from earlier, when you were on tilts because Derek reached, he saved me. It probably felt to you like you were being attacked, right? Like he was targeting you and benefiting me and doing all this stuff, whereas he was just playing the game in a way that made sense to him, right?
Right.
When I was spamming those moves when we were playing Soul Calibur, it was not because I was out to get you. It was because it worked, and until you found a way to beat it, why would I do something different?
Yeah.
So
it's funny you say that because it reminded me of a Datadoya video where he was ranking up in Street Fighter 6 with E Honda. And E Honda has this headbutt move that just goes across the entire stage and headbutts them down. And he would say, as he was doing it, he was like, I'm doing these people a favor. They need to learn their character's answer to E Honda. And so he would just keep spamming the same move. It was just funny the way he was explaining it, to be like, it's working for me, And once they figure out their character's answer to it, it'll never get them again. And I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
It might have also been, Benjamin, because we were both, 14 and not 2D fighting game players.
That's true. And, like, we were the meta. So
Yeah, we were the meta. And so if we don't know any great moves, then we're just going to keep reusing the same mediocre moves.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're feeling tilted from that experience, then you may think, man, my brother's he just likes to pick on me in particular.
Yeah.
And make this, this game, I can have all sorts of fun when I'm playing the computer, but here he comes and makes it miserable. He's just trying to ruin my fun. I think that's a big one, where when you're not thinking straight, you start kind of becoming a conspiracy theorist or something like that, where the walls are closing in and everyone's out to get you. That's not true. Most people are there to have fun, and they're doing it the best they can, and not trying to make people out to be evil when they're just people is usually the better way to approach social situations like that.
Yeah, people who are on tilt will, like you said, they'll consider something a personal attack when it's actually just a game move. It's a move that they are making to get ahead. They are doing something strategic, and it affects you in some way, but the person who's on tilt thinks they're out to get me. They want me personally to lose because they hate me. No, it was just a game. That's the terms of engagement that we're all in, is that it's a game. Nobody hates you if they're playing a game with you, I don't think.
This isn't a gaming story. It also reminds me in this situation when we're driving with road rage, like someone is driving you crazy. And you're like, this guy's messing with me or whatever. And you finally passing, you look over, not a thought going on behind his eyes. They're thinking about, like, I got to go to the grocery store. My boss is riding me. They couldn't care or think about you in the slightest. And you were getting all worked up for no reason.
That is so insightful, Derek. Road rage is the prime example that everyone can probably relate to listening to this. Is like somebody cuts you off or is driving 68 in the far left lane that's supposed to be going 75 or 80. The passing lane where everybody's going really, really fast, and they're just cruising in the passing lane. Like that is not a personal attack on you. Yeah. Derek, what's something else that tilt causes people to do?
Well, I mentioned it before. It's a lot like you can't think straight. You're acting like I am not doing enough right now to win. I need to go even crazier, even harder. And so I'll just start like throwing Hail Mary after Hail Mary after Hail Mary. Like something's got to stick. But that's just making...
You start sacrificing your Commander Sphere, your Mind Stone, your Hedron Archive in order to draw lots and lots of more cards.
Yeah, I was thinking like, okay, the answer that's going to solve every single situation is just one card down, and I just have to do what it takes to get there. And if I would have just stuck it out, maybe things would have been okay. I could have stabilized. I mean, it's a bit of RNG, so maybe I did get that silver bullet. But you start taking these gigantic risks that almost certainly, would not pay off, and you get mad about, like a 10% chance or a 5% chance of something working correctly.
Yeah.
So you feel like you have to go even further. It's like it's a vicious cycle that just like I have to go crazy to get this. Okay, it didn't work. I need to go crazier, then go crazier, and often for what? For nothing.
Randy, anything you want to add here?
I think I pretty well covered, the stuff that really tilts me is whenever I feel like I can't play the game. So, I can't get anything started. I keep having to sacrifice my creatures. There's no point in playing any more creatures because I'm going to have to sacrifice it again next turn. And so it's like, this is so fun. I'm so glad I'm playing this game. I'm so glad, it's just like what's the point?
Yeah, how it causes you to like go nuclear or anything like that. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think I covered it pretty well earlier about what it makes me do.
Sure.
Something I just thought of is that if I'm going nuclear, if I'm tilted or salty or whatever, and it's making this uncomfortable environment, and people are like, let's just let him win. I get even madder because of that, because now I'm mad at myself again that I threw such a temper tantrum like a baby that people had to just give me my bottle. So that's like an even further tilting of like, I don't know, like an
Infantilizing?
Yeah, infantilizing. There we go.
But I have seen that a couple. I think I saw it today on Reddit of people describing somebody they were playing with who was like trying to combo off and was taking a really long turn, and everybody else was like, "Okay, how about we just scoop? How about we just scoop to it and give you the win?" And he was like, "No, I want to keep fighting it out." But the combo like wasn't winning. He just kept searching through stuff. Wait, Benjamin, was that the post you just sent?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so this post had the potential to be today's news from the Warfront. This third player comes in and tries to combo off, but his deck isn't winning from the combo, but it's just taking a very long turn and dirtling. And so the other three players just say, "Listen, we're done playing with you. You can have the win if it makes you feel better."
Yeah.
And that made the player even more mad, and they grab all their stuff and storm off. Storm off, not in Magic. They take their things and leave in a huff. Leave with an angry attitude. So yeah, let's get to our kind of last section today about how tilt affects a group. We've talked about what it causes the individual to do. We've talked about how it gets a person there. But let's talk about how it affects your meta, the group experience, when one person is going through this irrational anger, this anger that clouds their judgment. Who wants to start us off here?
Benjamin, take it away.
Yeah, I think that when your group, when people start to shut down and close off, you lose the communication that made your group good in the first place, assuming you had a good group. It can, when you have a lot of banter going or whatever, and then someone goes on tilt and decides that they're going to just kind of retreat inward, and go, "Oh, okay. Yeah."
Yeah, they start doing one-word responses, or
they pull out their phone.
Shrugging. Oh, pulling out your phone is a death sentence.
Yeah, the game night can just kind of peter out because somebody has just clammed up. That's one way people can go on tilt. That's not always demonstrative and nuclear. Sometimes it's we're gonna bunker down and wait till I can be safe again.
I was so guilty of that when Derek's Jin Gataxias came out. I would draw my card, play it, pass, get on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was just... And again, it's because I felt like there was nothing I could do, but a better way in that situation to react would have been staying in, watching other people's turns, commenting and saying, "Wow, good move. I'm amazed you can stay active with Jin Gataxias on the board." I could have been a much better player, a much better friend during that game.
It's hard to do, man. I would have been the same way as you. Just like, I have a very defeatist thing. If I can't do it, like, oh, well, like if I'm not tilting, I'm into a defeatist mindset of like, oh, I just give up. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah. Probably the worst thing that tilt can cause a person to do that can really affect your group is it can cause people to lash out and start making mean comments to other players. And not just in like, why would you do that? But it can turn into things like, that move is so stupid, or you are such a jerk. Lashing out in things like name calling or calling out somebody's personality flaws. Like, that's a really hurtful thing that tilt can cause a person to do. And it can severely damage your meta. It can severely damage your group.
Mm-hmm.
Name calling and just straight insults, that is another death sentence to your gaming group.
Yeah, I feel like if there's one thing you guys take away from this episode, is don't say anything you can't take back. And that goes for gaming, it goes with friends, it goes with relationships, work, whatever. Because that's people don't forget that stuff. They stew on it. They think about it all the time. It affects decisions and how they think of you in the future. You got to take a second to think about what you want to say before you say something hurtful if you're in the moment.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Another really divisive thing is possible, that somebody else can side with the person on tilt. Or the person who is tilted and upset about all this starts talking in a side chat or starts whispering to another person, trying to recruit people to their side and saying, can you believe when Derek Path to Exile my 3/3 token in order to save Benjamin?
Yeah, man, I can believe it. What a smart play.
Like, what's he gained from that? Robbing first place for me. He's just going to give first place to somebody else. Like, that side whisper, that effort to recruit other people to your side. Forming sides in an argument like that is another thing that is going to tear your group apart, because it's going to create these grudges that fester for a long time. Grudges are another thing that, if you leave your tilt unchecked and you never come out of it. You never recover from feeling like it was a personal attack. You never realize it was just a game move and it all feels personal. Well, that's a grudge. And we talked for 2 hours about grudges, I think in episode 2. Mm-hmm. So go back and check it out. That was an early topic for us.
Yeah, I think our group is lucky because we're pretty good about not holding grudges.
Yeah.
I know me and Derek have gotten into some real heated gameplay sometimes, when we're playing games. And, we've always just like, all right, give it a couple hours, text them, hey, idiot.
That curb your enthusiasm thing. You're going to have to bleep this, Travis. Sorry. You. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We've never said anything that I know of that's like stuck. Like Derek has said some stuff that made me mad, but I know it's because he was just kind of like, flying off the cuff, whatever. And boy, it made me mad too, though. The meanest thing you ever said to me, which it sounds dumb, but I think you called me stupid or something. And I was like,
yeah,
mute.
Sorry about that.
Close game. And I left. I was like, nah, you're not gonna insult me like that. You can call me a bad player, a bad driver, whatever it was we were doing. But it's like, well, if that's what you think, then I don't need to be your friend. So I was out. But then a couple hours later, it was like, hey, idiot. You still on?
Hey, dummy.
I love you. I miss you.
No, not that. But I do want to get a revenge kill.
We let our lips do the talking. Just...
That's what lips do, Randy.
I know, but the way he said it.
Y'all are going to make me dig back out that saxophone music from a long time ago.
No, we're good. It's not that kind of lips doing the talking.
Oh, it's not those lips? It's a different set of lips?
Oh, my.
No,
my, I'm blushing.
The
my.
way he said it made it sound like the lips were doing something else.
Benjamin, how else does tilt affect the group?
I mean, it just makes everything less fun, right? Where if tilt happens early in the game night especially, it can fester over into future games. It can, lead to those awkward goodbyes at the end where people are like, yeah, okay, bye. One of the things our group is typically very good at is, hey, guys, I had fun. Looking forward to doing it again. Kind of leaving everything on a high note. But people who are tilted and it's the end of the night, just, they just want to leave. And it kind of, everyone's kind of awkward and
just
sour.
stew on the drive home.
Yeah. Or they're stewing while the games are happening. And so, like, maybe I had a plan to play a cool deck the next game, but I don't want to have to face them being tilted more. So I don't pull out the deck that I was excited to play. It just leads to reduced fun for the rest of the night.
Do y'all remember the game after Derek played Jin Gitaxias? The game after that, I played my Animar deck, and I had completely forgotten that Jin Gitaxias was also in that deck. or was in that deck at all.
Yeah.
So I drew it and I was like, I can't believe I'm about to play the card that got me so upset last game.
Did you?
I did,
Yes,
but then somebody removed it in one turn.
I guess I blacked out. I don't remember that.
It didn't stick around for 4 turns like yours did.
Yeah. What was I playing?
I think Benjamin either killed me or just played something and got rid of it.
I think that's what it was. I think you played it, and then I killed you. I just, like...
Because that was your Archangel Avacyn deck, right? And
right.
You hit me for 90 damage or something?
Right. I did... Yeah. You had a huge board, but I didn't have to attack you. That's right. I fought with you
fought with Brash Taunter
with
against your Inferno Titan with Fiery Emancipation on the board.
Exactly.
That's right.
So I was just like, nope, I'm not discarding.
So the damage got tripled twice. Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, that's why. But he did play it, and I was like, oh, okay, all right.
How the turntables.
Yeah. It affects people, makes people act poorly, think poorly, make poor decisions, and it affects the group because it shuts off communication and leads to reduced fun and quite possibly people not playing with each other in the future in the same way.
Tilt is very dangerous. I hope that's the message we've conveyed, that this type of anger that clouds your judgment and it can cause you to make decisions that are permanently damaging to your relationships. Now, it can cause you to make bad gaming decisions too, but remember, this is a gaming podcast that's actually a friendship podcast. That's what we are most concerned about in our own group and in other groups. Is you can't let that anger affect your friend group, or, like we're always saying, you will run out of players to play with.
Yeah.
Tilt is the group killer.
It's the
Tilt
little
is the group killer. That's right.
The little death that brings total oblivion. Yep. And so that I feel like we've described it a lot, but it's kind of beyond the scope of what we're able to get to tonight on how to avoid tilt. But I think just being aware of its existence and actively fighting it in yourself is really the only way, because we're talking about how we've been tilted the last time we've played.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're certainly not experts, but the fact that we realize it, I think, causes us to think about our actions later, to apologize, to open up communications when we've been tilted, and to make sure that we continue to reach out to each other and try to correct the tilt when it happens, right? To admit that, hey, getting on the phone wasn't the right thing, or acting, storming off in a huff wasn't the right thing, asking for forgiveness and apologizing and keeping those lines of communication open, I think is the best way to confront it. And of course, we're all works in progress, but working on dealing with those things. And real quick, I want to do a shout out. If you are like me and you're tilted by bad luck in particular, we have a whole episode on
That's true. I forgot about that one.
Dealing with a very special guest, one of my great friends, Daniel. Which episode was that?
Is it the Daniel Day-Lewis?
No.
Oh, never mind.
It's episode 17,
So-
Bad Luck Slump.
So I do encourage people to go and listen to that one. Daniel had some great advice about how to deal with that, how to think about bad luck. In general, you can't get rid of your emotions. They're normal. They're healthy often, but you should learn to deal with them appropriately and to control them when they are unhealthy. And tilt is one of those things that tends to be unhealthy most of the time. And so learning to deal with those things is very important, even if we can't be the ones to tell you how.
Benjamin, thank you so much for those beautiful words of wisdom. No news from the Warfront today, so thank you guys for listening. Remember that you can reach us on patreon.com/mymythicalmeta to become a patron. You can email us directly at mymythicalmeta@eldoradogaming.com. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, share. Please, 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 if you are a weekly listener and you like the show, share it with somebody. Make your significant other partner listen to it with you. Not with you, on their own device, on their own drive to work, on their own separate device. Share it with the other people in your gaming group. That way, the 4 of you could all subscribe. That would be great for the show and for your gaming group. We're just trying to help y'all out. I think that's the important message that we want to share here. So, like, share, comment, subscribe.
Live, laugh, love.
So good. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you, Benjamin, Randy, Derek, for being my great friends and for forgiving me for being on tilt for the last 2 weeks.
You're good.
Yeah, we love you.
I'm waiting for
Oh
Derek.
yeah, it's cool, man. Whatever.
All right, adios.
Bye.
Dune reference.
Later, guys. Oh wait, Zendaya's back. Guys, come back.
This episode was sponsored by Eldorado Gaming. Use the promo code META for 10% off your order. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. This episode was edited by me, Travis Konishek, and our intro and outro music is by Tyler Heath of the Oh Hellos.